Oh, you know we're gonna be talking about a very ancient phone. Come Mello, it's your tech visitors girl Melody Tensei. Once again, we're at a very, very old phone this time. This time around, it's Yo classic Google Nexus 6P. Really? Now, if you're wondering why I'm constantly getting this tethered right now and constantly connected to power, that's because this phone's battery is more or less very, very dead. But we'll get into the story of that in a moment. But here's something a little different about this phone. The touchscreen is barely working, and the screen is kind of coming off. But I'm not gonna bother repairing this. This is really, really old now. So currently, the ROM it's currently having is Lineage OS. There really isn't much because I don't really use this phone anymore. So I was using it for some experiments, but the battery died too quickly, so I kind of bailed out on this whole thing. So what's the story behind me getting a Nexus 6P? Well, the story was pretty simple. So I was on the iPhone 6 and I wanted to try out the Android space because when I was having an iPhone and I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should probably give Android a try. So this is set before the Razer phone, by the way. So you're hearing a prequel of the previous video. So I live in a world where it's kind of predominantly Android. So of course, comes with a very, very weird social toxicity of people going against iPhone users saying that iPhone users are elitist and stuff. I didn't quite like that because I don't really see myself as one. I'm just an average middle-class person that just chose iPhone because they just worked out for me. And they're not all that expensive because at that time, Android phones were just as expensive. So it's a matter of choice most of the time. So I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should probably give Android a try and maybe discover everything that I have already discovered prior on iOS. So like, I've discovered jailbreaking on iOS and discovered Cydia and repos and a whole lot of different stuff that were on jailbreaking and figured out how I can customize my phone that way and stuff like that. So why not I try doing, well, not exactly the same, but do a lot of discoveries on the Android and put the same amount of efforts of discovery onto the Android space. And this is the phone I started with, the Google Nexus 6P. Well, the reason why I went for the Nexus 6P was because a lot of YouTubers were using it at the time when the world was really predominantly Android, where like say someone go in the lines of Lou from Unbox Therapy and if I'm not mistaken, maybe even Linus Tech Tips was also using the 6P. So I thought, okay, it's coming from Google, right? So let's give it a try because surely Google would provide the cleanest Android experience that is kind of to their vision of what, say, stock Android, I guess. So I went with it and it was pretty good. The phone was pretty, well, serviceable is a way to put it because the processor it has was, well, a little, leaves a lot to be desired. I was playing Honkai Impact, but the frame rates were kind of bad. It was like 20-ish frames at a time. Even on the lowest settings, it was, well, I could do passive grinds with it, but not enough to do major story grinds. So I kind of went back to the iPhone for those games. That's fine. That's perfectly fine because security updates were consistent, bank apps work as expected, and pictures, I wouldn't say they're amazing, but they were great for their time. And there were just a whole lot of things that went right with the Nexus 6P until the hardware strikes. So if you didn't understand, you might want to do a little bit of research about the lawsuit that hit Huawei, which is the manufacturer of the phone, and Google over the premature degradation of the battery on all Nexus 6P devices. You might want to read up on the whole story about it and the whole timeline about it, but here's how I shorten it in my perspective as a user. The battery died sooner than I thought, particularly within a year and a half, and the way it died is the same as how a 4-year-old iPhone would, which is that the battery health has gone down to like probably 60-ish%, 50-ish%, but this one had a more serious case of death. It died prematurely as I just used it and then the screen just blacked out, boop. And then when you try to power it on, it suddenly shows 50-ish% battery and then it dies in another minute. And then I turn it back on, 20%, boop, dies again, turn it back on, 10%, 5. Gone. What is going on? I did not understand what was going on. For all I know, I figured it would be another battery death. It's probably just poor battery quality, I guess. So I took it to a nearby service center, an official service center. I don't quite remember if it was Huawei or Google, but I did go to a service center for either of them, and I didn't like what they told me. They told me it was a motherboard issue and that the motherboard's power IC is having issues detecting the battery properly. And they charged me $300 for the replacement of the said motherboard. $300! No, I don't pay $600 just to get that kind of experience. So I told them no, took my device back, and it's been like this way. It has never been swapped. Nothing has been swapped. The battery has really not changed at all. And today, I wouldn't say today, but more like recently, these days, as you can see, judging by the screen behaving like that, yeah, the battery bloated finally. Or more like it bloated enough to pop the screen off. And you may think, Mel, you're charging a bloated device. Stop doing that. Yes, I get you. This will be the last time that I'll be doing that. I'm doing that because I wanted to show you what was on the screen for its very last life before I give it a quiet down moment, I guess. So let's demonstrate how quickly it dies. But first, we have to head down to the settings and we're gonna get into display and set screen time out to 30 minutes. Right, let's have a moment. Let's sit down and see how quickly it dies, I guess. You guys ready? Boop. The cable's off. Now let's see how quickly it dies, just by standing by on the screen. So while we wait, I'm gonna talk about how I was feeling when I bought this phone in the first place. So I thought to myself, it's kind of a cool concept because I've already touched Androids for like quite a long time now. This is not my first Android phone, honestly. If anything, it's my first modern Android phone because I have historically touched older phones. And to those OGs who are in the millennial era, I know you feel me, because what if I tell you that my first Android phone was a Sony Xperia X10 Mini? That's right, it's that Android 2 phone, that one Jelly Bean phone. That was my first Android phone. In fact, I had this phone before I had my first iPhone, which was the iPhone 4S. So technically, I have not tried Android ever. I have used Android prior, and I just simply don't give a shit about the operating systems. What I really cared about is how companies maintained the operating systems. But with that aside, my modern Android experience had been kind of pleasant because I have sideloaded some applications, but it's mostly just small little cosmetic things that, because for someone who formats phones quite often, because I'm the kind of person who throws a lot of junk on the Files app, and then at some point we just thought to ourselves, why the hell did we run out of space? And usually I just have this tendency to just get lazy and purge everything. Well, at least that's what the past me does. But nowadays I kind of just try to reduce the amount of clutter and try to keep an eye on my storage usage and actually take this files out, like say my photos and stuff, take it out when it has been sitting there for a very long time. So if anything's lost, it's not really lost. You know, you get what I mean. Just preserving the data, I guess. But in the past, I was pretty much a data destroyer. Because get this, Honkai Impact takes a lot of space. Because if you pre-cache or pre-download all the assets that the game has, it's gonna start bulking up. Like even right now, you could probably bulk it up to like probably some 30-40 gigs for just the whole game top to bottom. So, but fortunate for me, at that time I only played, well, a small handful of games, I guess. Namely, Love Live School Idol Festival 1 and Honkai Impact. And I think that's pretty much the only games I played. I did not really pick up Azure Lane until I had the Razer phone. But yeah, I'm not really a gamer personally. But yeah, I mean, Little Mel wasn't really a gamer at all. She just wants a game that she can just play along, chill, and not think at all. But yeah, I honestly think this is a pretty cool device because look at this. These two are speakers, and if you play them on stereo, they sound seriously amazing. Like, you don't even need Dolby Atmos. They sound just wonderful on the default tune. But things just did not feel right sometimes. Although this phone is pretty customizable, you can have AOSPs on it because a lot of ROMs support it because it was the easiest to support because it's coming from Google. I just feel like something felt really missing in the heart of the Nexus 6P. And that's when the Google Pixels came out. Unfortunately, I did not get my hands on a Pixel. So yeah, I kind of missed the opportunity. The reason why I had the Samsung Galaxy S10 or the Note 10 today is because at the time, Google Pixels were not shipped. to where I am at. So Pixels were not available and I could not get a Pixel. I really would have picked up a Pixel, but unfortunately, as luck struck, it did not came. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 was kind of like the next best choice, if anything, because there was no flagship on Nokia yet. I really want to try out Nokia because of their Android, what was it? Android certified, Android One program, which is one of the coolest ideas I've ever seen in my life. Unfortunately, again, they don't have flagships. They got mid-range phones only. And my budget was for flagships, unfortunately. So the only flagship I could think of was simply the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So, yeah. But regardless, you could tell me to pick up a gaming phone like the Asus ROG phone or the Red Magic, but I have a hard time trusting them when it comes to update consistency. But if you think their updates are consistent, like say at least quarterly, please let me know in the comments below and let me know of your experience. Is it good? Is it bad? Please let me know, because that's probably the only barrier for me from ever choosing those phones. So that's kind of what matters to me at the moment. However, the second nature that mattered to me is whether you can install AOSPs on it, because recently some companies started restricting unlocking the bootloader for quote-unquote security reasons, and I don't quite appreciate that behavior. Like, what security reasons? If you're going to open the bootloader, there is a flag that checks for bootloader enablement. So why are companies going out of their way blocking the unlocking of bootloader? I don't quite understand. Somebody should explain that to me, be it on the Discord server or in the comments. Damn, it's been 4 minutes. It lasted pretty well, didn't it? A moment of silence for the Nexus 6P. Alright, where was I? So after the whole Nexus 6P lawsuit and drama and everything, I kind of thought, nope, we're going to the other side of the extremes. So we got the spectrum of purity, I guess. On this side, we got pure, complete purity. And then on the other side, we got gimmicks or filled with features. So where I'll put Nexus 6P would be somewhere around this part of the spectrum. Like around where this line is, this metal line is. And then where the Razer phone is, well, it's at the tip. Dead on the tip. Like, there's no different way to explain it. It's dead on the tip. And then I believe Samsung would be somewhere around this part of the spectrum, where it's like, it has some bit of purity, but it's not pure in visuals. So it is still a lot of gimmick. Like say, the terrible launcher known as TouchWiz. And also the Edge display, which has now been converted into some form of like sidebar. Man, the Edge screen felt dead, I guess. I kind of appreciate the ruler feature on the Edge screen. I really like that. And I'm glad they brought it over to the modern day Edge screen. So props to you, Samsung, I guess. The ruler was very useful. Useful enough for me to need to measure anything without needing to bring a separate ruler or a tape measurement. It was pretty handy. But yeah, back to the Nexus 6P. So what did I do with the Nexus 6P anyway? Aside from installing AOSP, I discovered something that really jumped out to me, that was really out there, complete world's difference level out there. And I would like to make a video out of it. Do you want to know what it is? Somebody at UB Ports thought it's a really cool idea to port Ubuntu into Android phones. And the way Ubuntu behaves on phones are, well, visually very different. I would like to discover into that. Unfortunately, I don't have phones that currently supports the latest version of Ubuntu Touch, so I'll be bringing in a phone that is mostly supported, but on a deprecated version. But regardless, I hope this is worth a video to make. And yeah, and this is the story to how I came to have the Nexus 6P. And also, surprisingly, it's still alive for some minutes. Well, maybe it's because I've not really done anything online, I guess. What if, say, I connect to Wi-Fi right now? Okay, we're connected to Wi-Fi now. And where's the browser? Oh my god. Wait a second. Where's the browser? Wait, there's no browser in this AOSP? What the heck? Well, that was the first time for me. Okay. I guess we're not surfing the internet then. There's nothing in the gallery. Damn. I barely use this phone. That's surprising. Oh, Google. There, this is one of the articles that I'm talking about. So please have a good read at it so you understand what's going on in the world of Nexus 6P users. And also this Reddit. but I guess. These two are a good read, and it's a whole messy situation revolving around the Nexus 6P. But yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to press the notification bell. If you want to hear more story times out of me about Android, phones, tech, anything, please let me know. I have plenty of historical tech in my hands that I can make videos about, and if you're excited to hear more, please let me know. I will look forward to making more, and this should be one of the few last videos before I make another big project video, I guess. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time. Otsumero deshita. Wee. Bleh.